Hello and welcome to Nine's brand new podcast, Today's Take, hosted by me, Jane Azzopardi. Every weekday morning on Today, I bring you the headlines and the breaking news. But sometimes, like you, I want more time to really dig into a story. That's the idea behind Today's Take. To go a little deeper, we'll take you behind the scenes, find out what our reporters are thinking and how a story made it to air. This week, we're chatting with Today Queensland reporter Mia Glover. Like me, she's also a mum of two, and this week, those two roles crossed over. Let's take you back to Tuesday morning. YouTube could be added to the list of social media platforms banned for under 16s when the government's controversial rules come into force in December. Today, Queensland reporter Mia Glover has more for us on the Gold Coast. Mia, what's prompted this?
Good morning to you, Jane. Well, it's because kids under the age of 16 are apparently experiencing harmful content on YouTube and YouTube Kids. This has come from the E-Safety Commissioner, who's given some advice to the new Communications Minister, Annika Wells, saying that the exemption on YouTube should be lifted and it should be banned sooner rather than later. This all coming after a survey of Aussie kids aged between 10 and 15 found that 96% of them were on a social platform, and of that 96%, well, 70% have recorded and experiencing harmful content, violent videos, and even videos about eating disorders. Now, Jane, this one is a really timely one in my household because only yesterday I deleted YouTube Kids and banned it from my son's iPad because, to put it simply, he turns into a bit of a pork chop when he watches it.
When hashtag mum life and reporter life collide. Hey, Mia Glover, welcome to Today's Take.
Oh, Jade, thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting.
Now we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of this proposed social media ban for under 16s, how you feel about it as a reporter and as a mum. But first we need to set the scene, because this week's story was just one development in what has been a long-running issue. Can you bring us up to date? What is the government's proposed social media ban and why are they doing it?
Okay, so this is an absolute minefield for parents, might I add, and there's so many different avenues to it. So I'll try and be as concise as I can. But late last year, the government introduced this ban for under 16s accessing social media platforms. So we're talking TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all of those ones that the young ones are currently on, and that's how they communicate with their peers. So that came in, but now the ban itself will take effect later this year. So we're talking December this year. So that will be a couple of months' time for parents to really get their head around this, but it will mean those companies like Meta, who own some of those social media platforms, they will have to put measures in place to ensure that people under the age of 16 cannot have a profile, cannot have a presence on those social media platforms. And if they do not do that, well, the fines can be pretty hefty. So they could be around $40 million or so for these companies. So the onus is very much on the companies. There is also the caveat of, if they have put every measure in place, but they're still under 16s accessing this content and these social media platforms, well, then they'll be fine. It's going to be also on the parents and the kids to kind of really monitor exactly how they're going about accessing these platforms.
Okay, so let's get into the why of this, because the government was really under a lot of pressure to act by parents and other campaigners who were really concerned about the mental health impacts of children under 16 accessing social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I think bullying as well was a really big issue. And I know premiers in different states were calling for this. Some weren't really in the argument. Others were at the forefront of it. So the government just decided to do a national approach to this. And we are the only country in the world that is going to bring this ban in. So it is very, very controversial. It's polarizing. It's got a lot of people talking. Some parents do say, though, this will help their under 16s, protect them from, hateful content that you can see on the websites, also that bullying as well. So that is, sorry, my doorbell's now going off. This is so much fun. Oh, mum life,
Hashtag
isn't
mum
it
life,
great?
eh?
If it's not the monitor, it's the doorbell. Gotta love it. So it is very controversial, Jane. Pros and cons to, I think, both sides, though.
Okay, well, one side that is definitely not on the side of this ban is the social media companies themselves. We're talking, as you mentioned, TikTok, Meta, Snapchat, and part of the reason they've been against it is because YouTube initially was given this carve-out. Why initially was YouTube not included in this ban?
Initially, it was exempt by the e-safety commissioner because she believed that it was a platform that could offer education and things like that for under 16s. However, this week she's given some evidence and some advice to the communications minister to say, actually, hateful content is on YouTube and also YouTube Kids. So this is both YouTube, and I know a lot of people and a lot of my mum friends use YouTube Kids for their, under
Guilty.
10s even. Yeah, exactly right. I was using it this morning for my baby, dancing fruit. Gotta love it. But yeah, so she's now saying, no, that can't be exempt. This one needs to be included. And TikTok and also Instagram and Facebook, they rallied hard to get YouTube included in this ban. They put out, full page adverts and that sort of things to say it's just not fair. So now it is going to be a blanket ban. That is what we're going to see.
Okay, so she's saying that it has the same harmful effects as the other social media companies. YouTube, though, after our show on Tuesday, responded in a way. They're not happy.
No, they are not happy at all. Basically, they're saying we are not a platform to connect with peers, to speak. We're not a messaging platform like the others are. We simply are a video streaming service. So they're not happy at all. So I think there is going to be some argy-bargy before this ban really kicks into gear in December this year, Jane.
Okay, well, that's the background of what this actual ban is. Now we're going to get to the mum chat because we're both mums of preschool and kindy-aged kids. And when you were reporting on this story on Tuesday, we both had the same reaction.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? I mean, you heard in my report that earlier this week I actually started to ban YouTube in my household. He's only 5, but my goodness, every time he watches YouTube Kids, he turns into like some sort of alien. Like his attitude changes. He's a bit rude, a bit snappy, and it's because he's watching these videos of kids that are opening these brand new toys and explaining them. It's something so simple, but it just garners this reaction from him.
Yep.
So I just said to my husband, no more. I'm banning it. And I tell you what, the last couple of days since I have banned it, it's like a transformation. He's now obviously only watching Bluey. He's not allowed on the iPad at the moment. And it is unbelievable. He's kind. He's, just the normal old soul, beautiful boy that I have. My 5-year-old's back. So, and a lot of mums like yourself are the same. I know a lot of my mum friends have been doing the same thing. They've banned YouTube. They've only allowing, certain apps, even some games. There's also, those great apps that you can do with reading and that sort of thing. That's the sort of stuff we need to be focusing on. I mean, we're talking 5-year-olds here, so I can't even imagine how to navigate it when they're older, Jane.
Well, I mean, my children had the same reaction, and they don't watch YouTube Kids on an iPad, but they've been watching it on our television. And I also noticed just the behaviour shifting and also the way that I think we started watching YouTube Kids because they were learning colours and numbers and they were watching little videos of cars in different colours. But then the algorithm sort of morphs and then now they're watching kids, American families, kids dressing up in superhero costumes or whatever and fighting each other. And, it all is good family fun. But I tell you what, my kids started saying candy and soda and I thought, what is going on? I really need to put a limit on this. The other thing you mentioned, if they're watching Bluey, you know that it's going to be over in 7 minutes and you can say, when this is over, it's into the shower.
Exactly.
But these
it's bath
YouTube
time.
kids, they go for like 30 or 40 minutes.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you brought up the algorithm because, yes, you can select what you want to watch, but I noticed when Albert was watching one thing, then something else would pop up and it was quite sinister. It was almost like a computer generated scene of like crashes of these vehicles crashing into each other on a highway. And he started watching it and I said, darling, what is that? He goes, Mummy, they're just crashes. I was like, that is really quite violent. Like nobody's in the cars, but even still seeing these vehicles just crash and then you see the damage afterwards and like, this is not for a 5-year-old at all. Yeah. At all.
Do you find though, I mean, and this is sort of something I've wrestled with because immediately I thought, oh great, if the government says my kids can't watch YouTube, then I don't have to deal with the discipline of that. But then there's a part of me that is like, well, hang on, that is part of my responsibility as a parent. And I don't know whether the government should be telling me what my kids can and can't do. Isn't that my job?
Absolutely. This is something that I've really wrestled with, and I'm only speaking as a mum of a 5-year-old and an 8-month-old.
Yeah.
So those mums out there who have early age teens and that sort of thing, don't come at me. But
Yes, I know,
like
it's very different.
it's so different. But for me, we are the parents. We need to be doing what we think is best for our kids. Why should we be letting somebody else tell us how to parent? I think the onus does come on the parents, and it needs to, in terms of, okay, you know what, you're acting like an absolute pork chop, I'm going to take this away. We can't just say, oh, well, you know what, the government's banned it now, so I don't have to really do my part of parenting. That's just not how it goes. I mean, where were we before iPads and things like that? I remember when I was naughty, mum would not allow me to play with my Barbie dolls and that sort of thing. So this is an issue that's just evolved as technology evolves. There's that, but then on the flip side, the hateful content that is seen, and even as a mum who is monitoring my son and what he's watching, like I mentioned, those crash videos, they just pop up.
Yeah,
so you're
do.
like, you want to be the parent, but at the same time, can you monitor every single second that they're watching? I'm a mum of 2, you're a mum of 2, you're juggling, you know, the other child sometimes, you can't keep an eye on the other one. And I tell you what, the iPad was very handy when I was breastfeeding in the early days, let me tell you.
I mean, technology can be a great babysitter when you're in the house too, can't it? Like, I've got to cook dinner, let's put something on. But at the moment in my house, it's you can watch Netflix or Stan, or you can watch ABC Kids, but not YouTube at the moment.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we'll get to the bit about teenage kids later, because that's something that we're both going to deal with down the track. But going back to this story at hand, part of your job as a reporter on stories like this is to find out what ordinary people think. We call it a Voxpop. And you spoke to some parents that morning. We're going to have a little listen to that now.
I reckon it's great. I think I have 2 kids, and I regret deeply for having them watching YouTube, because it's just so much that you can control that comes up on the screen. And it's crazy stuff out there that you can't filter, so good idea.
Yeah, I'm an early childhood teacher, so I definitely do not believe in YouTube for kids. I think the beach is a much better idea, learning from the land. I think there's a million other things you could do than YouTube.
I think it can be useful if they use it in the right way. It's about using it in the right way though. Like, if you're just letting kids free rein on it and do whatever they want to do, no, it's terrible. But yeah, if you're controlling it and they're learning off it, and I think maybe section times and stuff like that, it's probably a good idea.
I just don't know how you'd ever control it, to be honest. And like, sometimes I feel like if you ban it, it gives people like a false sense of security that like, oh, it's banned, they'll be all right, but it almost kind of makes it worse. Like, there's probably things they can monitor, but banning it probably isn't the answer.
I mean, you got some mixed responses there.
Yeah, there was a teacher, there was a mum of 2, many for the ban, which actually did surprise me. I thought a lot of people would say, no, actually, we need to be the parent and step in and do our bit. But a lot of them said, yeah, we support the ban. We are so sick of it. We should never have introduced it in the first place to our kids. But then you got the flip side of other people. There was, I call him a fur dad because he is a dad, but he's got a fur baby.
Okay.
But he was saying, you know, I think it's a slippery slope. If the government is saying, okay, we're going to ban this, then what's next? Is it the start of censorship? And I think a lot of people are concerned about that, which, you know, rightly so.
Yeah, it is. It's the balance, isn't it? I also heard later on the show on Tuesday morning, Carl and Sarah were speaking to online safety expert Susan McLean about parental controls on social media and things like YouTube. And I found her answer on YouTube specifically really interesting. Here it is.
The problem that I get to see is when a parent says to me, oh, but I never see anything bad on these platforms. I don't see this, I don't see that. And that gets back to a lack of understanding around algorithms and how they work. I know what is pushed to me as an adult female is vastly different to what is pushed to a teen female or a young male. So it's about knowing the platforms. And yes, you can learn to change a tap washer on YouTube, but there is some totally inappropriate content there as well.
So Mia, do you feel as a parent that you have enough knowledge in knowing how to handle social media and the internet and being in control of what your children might see?
Oh, absolutely not. I have no idea. I mean, Albert's into Minecraft. I have no idea what Minecraft is. He wants to play it, but I'm still very confused by it. A lot of his friends play Roblox, I think it's called. No idea what that is either. So I think for parents, it is so hard to navigate. And this is what's lacking education for mums and dads. I think that is the biggest thing. We those campaigns that we saw, even with drink driving and that sort of thing, that's what we need for social media. We need to know, okay, what are the dangers? Okay, what are the risks? Okay, if they want to speak to friends, can I block other people for them? I know that my auntie in the UK, she got my cousin a social media account when he was probably early teens, mid-teens, to keep in contact with family overseas. But she was a friend of his, and he said, "Oh, look, it's going to be really uncool to have my mum as a friend." So she changed her name to the cat's name, so no one knew. His friends did not know that that he was friends with his mum, and she was monitoring everything. So that was a really clever way of doing it. But this is the type of education
Yeah.
we need. We need to understand, how does this algorithm work? If, my son clicks on that, does that bring up this box then? Is there a way to block that content from coming through? I know YouTube does that. You can monitor YouTube Kids, absolutely you can. But you're still getting this hateful content come
Yeah.
through. So it's such a hard thing to navigate as a parent.
It's funny you mentioned Minecraft. I also have a 5-year-old son who is also into Minecraft and, learnt it from his friends. I have no idea how to play it. I feel like I've read stuff that makes me feel like
I've
I
seen
should
the
be
movie.
scared. I have too many times. Makes me feel I should be scared at it. But then, Trevor Long told me that it is one of the greatest games in the universe and it's really educational. So I feel like, as a parent now, I'm going to need to give myself an education in these things so I know exactly how to navigate it.
Absolutely. And I feel as if this is the way of the future, isn't it? I mean, even at school now, my 5-year-old's in prep here in Queensland and he's using an iPad. So you can't limit them access to these devices and this technology, because this is the way of the future. AI is going to eventually take over, isn't it? They need to they need to know. That's another issue we need to talk about, but not today. But this is the thing. We need to sort of arm them with the knowledge while also keeping them safe, not completely shutting them off from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this ban could, have some issues, so to
Yeah.
say, in the next couple of years.
Well, we both mentioned earlier that our children are very young. They're not even navigating social media yet.
Thank
Things
goodness.
like Instagram and Facebook. And the thought of that terrifies me.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a boy and a girl, and for some reason, I'm more fearful for Winnie, my girl, than I am Albert, just because of the body image issues, the bullying. I mean, kids are nasty. They can be really nasty. And there's so many surveys that have been done to say that a lot of the bullying happens now outside of the classroom, on these devices and on these social media platforms. So trying to educate parents about that, putting up, a massive advertising campaign to say this is how dangerous it can be. So you're almost shaming the kids in a way. It sounds awful, but
Yeah.
you're shaming the kids in a way for using it. I think that would be the way to go about it. Just put in a bucket load of cash to say, right, this is what we're going to do with educating our kids and our parents. We're going to put up this campaign to say that this is what it can do mentally for your kids and also mentally for parents, and how to navigate it. I think that is the way forward. A complete total blackout ban. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes over the next couple of years. I think it's controversial for sure.
Yeah, and one of the things I thought is if our children are having absolutely zero exposure to this until the age of 16, and then at 16, boom, you can access everything, is that doing them a disservice? We haven't really educated them in it, and then all of a sudden they're thrown in this world at the same time as they're doing other things like their school exams and driving.
That's exactly right. And that age, that 16, I don't know about you, Jane, but I was very emotional at the age of 16. Everything, if the boy didn't, call me back on my home phone with the cord, I was very, very disappointed. So at that age, everything feels like the end of the world. Everything is just so heightened. So like you say, it'll just be like a massive gear shift to then be exposed to all of this stuff. Is that the way to do it? Should we be easing them into it? I'm no child expert. I'm just a mum.
Same. Look, one of the things that I did read, and I had read a really harrowing piece in a newspaper of a parent whose child had been using social media and was sort of fooled into sending intimate photos of themselves and then blackmailed around it. And one of the things that the police officer or the parent said was just, tell your children that they're only on devices in the living room or in the kitchen when the parents are around. Just don't let these things into the bedroom. And that's kind of one of the things that I've already started with my kids who are only very young, and hope that's something that I intend to continue, although I know there'll be teenage parents at me saying, you've got no idea at this stage.
I know, they're like laughing at us, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but just trying to, stopping it before it starts in a way, having the rules already there.
My parents were very strict in the sense that I always wanted a TV in my room. I was never allowed a TV in my room. I had to always watch TV with mum and dad, or I just have it in the lounge room. The only time that they said, okay, you need a computer was they put it in a specific room. It was the spare room. I remember it. Oh gosh,
and it was probably enormous.
It was so big. It was so big. And that was, during my HSC and my uni days. But they would come in like every, hour just to check in and be like, oh, who are you talking to? And Dad still says it to me today. He said, I knew you were on some sort of messenger thing because you'd close the window really quickly. And I was like, oh, okay, so you did know what I was doing. So I think that's great, not having devices in the room. I am all for that. I mean, I've said my biggest thing to my kids is never lie. You will never get in trouble for lying. So I want them to be honest with me with whatever. So even the other night when YouTube accidentally clicked on the TV, I hear Albert go, oh no, this is dangerous, oh no. And I rush into the lounge and I'm like, what's happened? I'm thinking, the 8-month-old's crying. He's like, no, Mummy, I just accidentally clicked on YouTube and I know you don't want that. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I put the fear in him. But I mean, in a way, he's being honest. So honesty is the best policy.
It sure is, kids. Mia, look, I don't know if we've solved this problem or kind of created more questions around it, but it has been really good to chat with you. Thank you so much for being our guest on Today's Take.
Thank you for having me.
A big thank you to Today Queensland reporter Mia Glover, and of course a big thanks to you also for listening to Today's Take. We hope you really enjoyed our chat. If you have any ideas for what we should cover next time, please let us know in the comments. And while you're at it, please subscribe and rate us. It all really helps. I'm Jane Azzopardi and I will catch you bright and early with the rest of the Today team. Have a fantastic day.